You can ask. So I have
Hi,
started the
Sachin.
record. Yeah,
Hi,
yeah, Nivedita.
hi, Sachin. Not a question related to the course,
Mhm.
but just wanted to know that the recorded session would be available to us, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is already uploaded in your drive, Nivedita. So if you will see your drive, in this drive, I
Oh,
have created one more folder with the class recording, and the previous class recording is already uploaded in the folder.
um, okay,
The
okay.
same
I
Google
think
Drive.
okay.
Yeah.
I might need some help, but I'll just connect later with you if I'm unable to find it. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. So it is, see, the recordings are also being uploaded on a same drive. Okay, the drive which we
Which
have created. Okay, where the of where this datas are being shared. Okay, so you can access that with the help of that drive. Should I show you that? Just give me a moment. Let me just
maybe
show you the.
yes, because I know that.
So this is your folder. Okay, this is your folder. You have access to this folder, correct? This folder where we have uploaded our documents.
Okay, okay.
Now
Again,
in this, yeah, in this folder, hi Mohan, in this folder you will see the class recordings as well. So the previous class recording has been already uploaded there. Okay.
okay, great. I think I just need if you could share the link with me because I'm
Yeah.
using my phone right now, so maybe that's why I'm unable to navigate. But if you could share the
Yeah.
link with me.
So I believe this is your email ID, correct?
Yes,
Nivedita.
yes.
Yeah. So in this email ID, the access has been already assigned. So you
Oh,
can access
I
this
go
link with the help of this email ID, and you will be able to access. Let me just share you the link in a chat.
yes,
Okay. So you can access this particular drive.
yes.
Let me just share the link.
Thank you so much.
Okay, perfect, guys. So now, what we will do is we'll start our session, and before we start our today's session, what we will be going to do, we'll quickly revise whatever we have discussed in the previous session. Okay. So, guys, in the previous session, we had first discussed about agile auditing. So, in agile auditing, we have discussed that it is a process or it is a method where auditor would be doing the audit work faster and more efficient manner as compared to the traditional audit method. So in this, what we are doing is, like, as a part of traditional auditing method, first we are doing planning. Once the planning is completed, then only we are starting the execution. And once the execution is completed, we are starting with the reporting phase. But in agile auditing, it is like, we will take the leverage of a time when you are doing a planning. Your in between of a planning also, you will start a bit little bit executions as well. Okay. Similarly, in case of agile auditing, your audit plan would also be a flexible, based on the changes in environment, based on the changes into the current market situations or risk assessment. You would be making sure that your audit plan are flexible and it incorporates the changes. So this we had discussed. Then we have discussed the role of role of artificial intelligence in the audit. So in role of artificial intelligence of auditing, we have discussed that as a part of artificial intelligence or machine learning, the main objective of using this tool in the audit is to increase the audit efficiencies and decreases the audit risk. As a part of this tool, what we are trying to do, we are trying to increase the audit efficiency and we are trying to decrease the audit risk as much as possible. So with the help of automation, we can increase the efficiency, and with the help of analysis on a sample, on an entire population rather than sample size, we can decrease the audit risk. Then we have discussed the role of AI in each the step of audit, like in planning, how we can use the artificial intelligence or RPA tool, how we can use those tools in the execution phase, and how we can use that tools in the reporting phase. So we have discussed that use in each the phases. After that, we had discussed couple of AI/ML technique. In the AI/ML technique, we have discussed first about a document classification, that how we can use a AI/ML tool for the purpose of automatic document classifications. Okay. Then we have discussed about a text summarization technique. With the help of text summarizations, what we would be doing is whatever long text those are being written, we will convert those text into a short text in the or we can prepare a summary of that text or any document. Then we had discussed about a topic analysis. In a topic analysis, we discussed that with the help of topic analysis, what we do, we identify a unique topic which is linked with that document, or maybe linked with that tickets or whatever data that you are providing. It will just analyze the data and it will tell you that, okay, this is the unique topic which is related to this data. So that can be done with the help of topic analysis. Then we have discussed about sentiment analysis. So sentiment analysis also we would be using to analyze the sentiments of the users. So what it will do, it will understand the text in a similar way that humans are understanding. So it will understand those texts, and it will collect those texts from the variety of the sources. For example, from your social media post, from the customer feedback survey, from the emails, and from whatever sources which are there with the company. They will take those sources, and then it will analyze. Then we have discussed about a statistical analysis. In a statistical analysis, we discussed that we would be using some kind of data. That data would be provided to the AI/ML system. The system will analyze the data, and then accordingly it will identify the patterns and trends. Then we have discussed about search and retrieval. In a search and retrieval, we discussed that this particular technique would be used to retrieve the data. Suppose if you want to retrieve some data from a repository, then you would be using search and retrieval, where you can provide certain keywords or certain informations. Accordingly, it will just provide you the appropriate data. Then we have discussed about algorithm audit algorithm. So here we have discussed that as an auditor, whenever we are doing audit, and if companies are using certain algorithm, we need to make sure that those algorithms are secure. Whatever methodology that organizations are adopting to calculate those algorithms, that methodology is secure. Okay. So this we have discussed. Then we have discussed that as an auditor, what we need to do is whatever results that are generated from AI/ML tool, we need to interpret those results. As an auditor, we need to interpret those results. While interpreting those results, we need to make sure that system is calculating the results based on certain logic. So those logics are correct. Okay. The company have done the sufficient testing. Okay. Before implementing or before using that AML system in the environment, they have done an adequate testing. They have trained their algorithm with the help of data. So a lot of testing has been already performed. And we also need to make sure that the results of AI/ML are free from the human bias, from the biasness. Okay, so this is all we had discussed in our domain one. Then we have started our discussion with domain two. In domain two, first we had discussed about data privacy. In data privacy, first we discussed certain terms, like we have discussed about who is a data subject, who is a data controller, or who is a data processor. So we discussed that who is a data subject, the individual whose personal data is being collected, they will be called as a data subject. Okay, the individual whose personal data would be collected, they are data subject. Then we second terminology we discussed a data controller. Now, who is a data controller? Data controller is an entity or individual that will define the purpose, and that will define the uses of data. So they are primarily responsible for ensuring the compliance of data privacy law. So they are a controller. Then we discussed about data processor. Now data processors would be a third party or entity who are acting on behalf of the uh, data controller. So they would be a data processor. Then we have discussed about data privacy program, that how company would be preparing a data privacy program. As a part of data privacy program, they needed to maintain certain documents. So we have just discussed about a privacy notice, that how company will put the privacy notices at an appropriate place when they are collecting a data. Privacy notices should include what data are collected, why the data are collected, how the data is collected, how long you will store a data, when will you destroy a data. So that all details would be included into the privacy notices. After that, we had discussed about consent form mechanism, that how organizations would be taking a consent. At the time of taking a consent, what are the points they need to take care. Consent should be available in the local languages as well. Consent should define the purpose, the uses of a data, why we are collecting a data, what will be the use of data. When we are taking a consent, we need to make sure that we have given an appropriate time to the users so that they can read and they can give their confirmations on the consent. Okay. So this is all we discussed in the previous session, guys. Now, in our today's session, what we will be going to do, we'll discuss about few more documentations related to data privacy, and we'll start our discussion with the personal information inventory. Okay, so this is also a one type of document in the data privacy, that organization need to maintain the inventory of personal information. Okay, it is called as a personal information inventory. Now in personal information inventory, what company would be doing, company would be documenting that what kind of PII SPI data is collected by the company, what kind of data they are collecting, what kind of data they are deriving, processing and storing, or otherwise handling by an enterprise. So at an enterprise level, like for example, guys, we are creating an asset inventory. In asset inventory, we are documenting each and every assets that are belong to the company, which includes your people, process and technology. Similar to that, you will also maintain the personal information inventory, where you will document each and every PII SPI information that is collected, derived and processed, stored or otherwise handled by the organization, so that what organization can do, they can implement an appropriate control to protect that personal information. Okay. Now, what will be considered as a personal information, that will depend on a regulatory requirement. For example, if you are in India, then you have to see DPDP. DPDP will tell you that what is being considered as a personal information as per the definition. Accordingly, you will create your inventory. And how companies are creating these inventories, guys, for each of the application, generally they are preparing a data flow diagram. In a data flow diagram, they are identifying that okay, this data we are collecting, and as per that they are creating the inventory of the personal informations. Okay, guys, is it clear? Any query, any doubt here? Any query, any doubt here? What is ROPE,
So,
Rahman? Yeah.
Sachin, personal inventory, you are referring to ROPA, record of processing activities.
Yeah, I will just show you one example also. Just give me a moment. Let me show you that how the inventories are being kept, personal inventory like PI inventories are being kept. I will show you one example so that you will get a better clarity. Just give me a moment. Uh, for example, this is my inventory for the PII data. So what I've done is I have noted down here that all kind of data, PII data, that is collected by my company. Correct. So here you can see, just give me a moment. So for example, here you can see my screen is visible, guys. My screen
No.
is visible. No,
No.
I believe it was unshared. Let me just share it again. Yeah, for example, guys, here you can see the companies are collecting credit card number, CVV number, bank account number, this, that, address, date of birth, then driving license number, voter ID number, this and that. Then we have classified that element, whether this is a PI data, SPI data. So this is what? This is my PII inventory. Correct. Then we will just write whether we are collecting yes, no. Correct. And as per that, then we will implement an appropriate control here to protect this particular data. Correct. So this is called as a PII inventory. Is it clear? PII
Sachin, is
inventory is clear.
there
Yeah.
any tool available in market that in a
Yeah,
software?
so generally what happens here, there are some data discovery tools available in the market. What the
Right.
data discovery tool can do, they can automatically identify those data and they can create the inventory. So, like if company can use that tool, then there is no need to do this exercise manually. And if we don't have a data discovery tool, then we need to create this inventory manually. If tool would be there, then tool will automatically,
Oh,
search the entire network and it will see that what kind of datas are there in a network, and it can
right,
also create the inventory also for you.
makes
Okay, so
sense.
there
Okay.
are a lot of template. Yeah, let me show you one more template. See, this is how the companies will prepare the template for the this data
Right.
inventory. Okay,
That's good.
clear?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So this is about a personal information inventory. Now, this inventory, as we discussed, we can maintain this inventory in the hard copy, in the spreadsheet, in the Word document, in the database, or in some cases, we can use the tools as well to prepare that inventory. Now, this inventory would be very helpful for us to implement the privacy management program, because organization accordingly can implement a control to protect their data. Okay. So this is about PII inventory. Okay. Now next is an activity log. I believe there is some background noise. Those who are not speaking, mute yourself. The next is an activity log. In activity log, like this is a normal logs only, correct? Whatever activity that is performed by the users or applications. Okay. For that, generally the logs are being generated. So we need to maintain the log. Okay. For each and every activity which are performed by the users, and whether this activity is performed in house or whether that is performed in the vendor premises, irrespective of the fact, log needs to be maintained. Now, whenever we are maintaining the logs should include some basic details. What basic detail? Log should include who have done the transaction, what transaction was performed, and when the transaction was performed, which is your timestamp. So whenever we are checking any log, we need to make sure that logs are including at least this basic informations: who have done what done and when transaction was performed. So that detail needs to be captured into the log. Similarly, the attempt like login logout logs would also be there, where we would be capturing how many time app users have logged into the application, how many time they were successful or unsuccessful attempt both. Okay. And the identity, those who have access to the personal information record, their identity needs to be captured into the log detail. Okay. So this is about activity log. Now, what company need to do this, we discussed earlier as well. As a part of data privacy, company first need to identify and document that which all privacy laws are applicable to their environment, or which all data privacy laws are applicable in their scenario. First, we need to see the applicability of privacy law. Then, as per the applicability, okay, we need to make sure that whatever our system, application, network, or other services are there, those services are compliant with the applicable data privacy law. For example, in data privacy law, if there is a requirement that you need to do the data privacy impact assessment, then for each the applications or system, you would be doing a DPIA activity. This activity, like in the upcoming slide, also we will discuss what is a DPIA. So now here, what is the requirement? That first company need to identify the legal regulatory requirement that are applicable to them. And as per that requirement, they need to make sure that their system applications and services are complied with those requirement. Okay. Now, next requirement here is what that organization need to do the privacy risk assessment. For example, guys, we are doing a risk assessment activity, correct, in order to identify the risk in the organization. Similarly, guys, we also need to do the privacy risk assessment. Now, in a privacy risk assessment, what we would be doing, we would be understanding our entire processes at an organization level. Then we will again see here that what data are being collected, used, shared, stored in the organization. Then against those data, we will identify that what are the risks that is applicable. like can user transfer this data, whether we have an appropriate controls to protect the data, DLP is there or not there, correct? So we have to identify the appropriate risk which are related to the privacy information or PII SPI data. And as per that risk assessment, we need to implement the appropriate controls to protect the data. So for that, organization would be doing the privacy risk assessment. Okay, let me just show you how the privacy risk assessment reports will look like. Let me just check whether I have some report or not. Yeah, this is your privacy impact assessment. Very similar, like, you may see some similarities between the privacy impact assessment or privacy risk assessment. Okay. So here, first we'll identify that what is the need of DPIA. So we'll write here that as per the regulatory requirement we are doing. Then here we will specify what data we are collecting, using and storing. Okay. Then then we will specify here that what controls we have implemented in relation to that data processing. Okay. And so here, like, the step-by-step process is being mentioned. Then accordingly, we will identify and assess each of the risks which are associated with that. We'll calculate the likelihood of the risk, the severity of the risk, and overall risk calculation. And as per that risk, we'll try to implement an appropriate measures to reduce a risk. The way we are doing normal risk assessment, guys, correct? It is just that now we are doing that assessment specifically from the data privacy perspective. And then you will see that at the end, it will be approved by your data privacy officer or the respective team who were involved in the DPIA activity or risk assessment activity. Okay, so this is about a privacy risk assessment. Okay. Similarly, guys, organization would be doing the privacy impact assessment as well. Now, all these activities are conducted together solely, like impact assessment or risk assessment. In the impact assessment also, what we would be doing is we would be making sure that whatever personal informations which are there in our organization, those informations are safeguarded, used, shared, and made available to individual which are associated with it. And once the appropriate retention period has been expired as per the regulatory requirement, then we would be securely disposing those information. Okay, for that we would be doing a privacy impact assessment. Okay, so this is about a privacy impact assessment. And now the next is a
S-
privacy. Yeah.
Sachin, sorry. So, who are these individuals? Like, can you shed some light on this? Like, made available to the individuals associated with it. So, like, for example, in the domain of any health sector.
Yeah.
So, if a patient is walks in and we are collecting the information, so we should be sharing with that patient, or I'm trying to understand this piece.
No, no. See, basically, the impact assessment organization would be doing.
Right.
Okay, this they would be doing at an organization level. So this
Right.
report we will not share with any patient or assess. So for example, we know that we are healthcare industry. So in
Right.
the healthcare industry, whenever patient will come, we know that we ask a certain set of data. So first we'll create an inventory for that. Okay, this data has been collected by us. Then we will see that which applications are processing this data. For example, in your organization, there would be one customer onboarding application. So we'll
Right.
see that, okay, this data has been processed by customer onboarding application. Then we'll see that in application, what controls we have implemented to protect the data at the collection level, at the storage level, or in the transit level also. Correct. So
Right.
all these elements are being captured in your impact assessment report, in your risk
Okay.
assessment report. So
Correct.
this is like a structured way of documenting those processes and
Right.
what controls your organization have implemented to ensure the security of data. So that is why we are making a documentation for all those activities. So for example, now suppose if regulator or auditor comes and asks that have you implemented this control, have you done this risk assessment, what was the outcome of this risk assessment, so that we can produce those documents
Right.
to the auditors or maybe to the regulators also. And accordingly, the entire process would be implemented in an efficient manner.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Now, next is a governance report, privacy governance report. Now, guys, with the help of privacy governance report, what organization would be doing? Organization would be communicating to all their stakeholder that they have implemented an appropriate controls regarding data privacy. So that privacy governance report will include the current level of privacy compliance, that how much we are complied with the privacy law, what are the improvements that we have made since last privacy governance report available, and what are the risk incidents and problems that has been encountered since last privacy governance report, and the status of overall privacy governance program. So this is nothing but this is a report. For example, why we are doing an audit? We are doing an audit just to understand that how much we are complied with the scope area, correct? Whatever was there in our scope. So we just want to do the evaluation that whether we are complied with those requirements or not. So similarly, organization will also be doing their privacy audits. Okay, as a part of that audit, organization will check their current level of compliance. Okay, what improvements they have done, what improvements still require, and accordingly, this particular report will demonstrate your compliance with the privacy laws and all. So for that, organization would be preparing a privacy governance report. Let me just show you one sample executive summary report. Okay. So basically, this report is an executive summary. So this is available in the public domain as well. Okay. So this is not a confidential report. Let me just tell you. So for example, organization have mentioned here that what what kind of compliance they have achieved since last year, what was the changes into the data privacy environment. Okay, then how much we are compliant with the same. So that kind of summary is being prepared in the form of report. Okay, so maybe you can refer to this report. I will provide you this report in the drive as well. So this is the privacy governance report, guys, which you can refer. Okay. Now, other documents will include the training activity. Now, what is a training activity, guys? So as a part of training activity, what organization need to do? Organization need to provide their training provide the data privacy training to all the users. They need to educate the user. They need to aware the users about the uses of PII SPA data, that how they need to collect the data, how they need to protect the data. For that, they would be providing a training. When the training would be provided, as an auditor, you would be checking whether the training has been attended by all the employees. Will make sure that the training content is being updated on a regular basis. We'll also check whether the evaluations has been performed after the completion of training or not. Okay. So these are the basic things we need to check in relation to the training activities, correct? What topics they have covered, how many employees have attended the training, date when the training was conducted, how the training was delivered, whether it was delivered in personal, online or what. Then whether we have done any assessment or not. So we'll check the results as well. Then we'll see the historical records of a training activity just to see that at what frequency you are doing a training. So these pointers we would be verifying in relation to the training activity. Then we will also verify organization's data incident register. So for example, as a part of incident management process, we would be maintaining list of all incident that has been occurred during the audit period. While doing the data privacy audit, we will specifically focuses on the incident which are related to the data privacy. Okay, which are related to the data privacy. So here we will make sure that organizations are again collecting all the informations regarding that incident, that what was the fact of incident, how the incident has been occurred, who have identified, how we have taken remedial actions to mitigate the incident, what are the preventive actions we have taken to avoid such breach, have we done an RCA, have we document the learnings, correct? So normal incident management process, whatever we are doing, same we will verify here with respect to the data privacy incidents as well. Okay. Then next is a individual right register. Now this is your data subject right DSR. I mentioned that earlier as well. As a part of individual right register, company will uh, document all the requests that he has received from the individual. Okay. For example, in GDPR, we discussed that customer have a right to ask deletion of the data. So for example, once the customer will raise that request will be logged somewhere in the company, correct? So suppose if as an auditor, I want to see that how many requests company has received during the audit period. So they should maintain that register separately, that how many requests they have received from the individuals, how and when the request was received. Then I also want to see whether you have uh, provided the appropriate resolution to that request or not. For example, if user is asking for some data, if he is asking for revoking a consent, or if he asking for the deletion of data, so how you have resolved that ticket. So that details also needs to be captured into the individual right register. Okay. So this is all about the privacy documentation, guys. We had discussed the various types of documentation which company need to make as a part of data privacy governance mechanism. Okay. So I hope this is clear to everyone. I hope this is clear to everyone. Any query, any doubt, any query, any doubt, you can ask. Perfect. Clear. Now, next is what? Data privacy audit process. Now, as we discussed earlier, as per the applicable laws, what we need to do is we need to conduct the data privacy audits. Okay. While doing the data privacy audit, we can refer to the various standards which are there in the market. Okay. For example, ISACA has also one of standard for data privacy. Okay. We have discussed about 27701. This is also ISO 27001 is also one of the standard which can be used by company to implement a data privacy governance mechanism. Correct? Company can use this ISACA standards as well. Okay, so this is the ISACA's standard for the data privacy where they are talking again same thing. They are talking about consent. We need to ensure the security of personal information. What are the rights that individual have when we are sharing data with third party? What controls we need to measure? So this is a detailed data privacy standards issued by an ISACA. And as per this standard, so in this standard, there is one clause, which is clause number 9, which talks about monitoring, reporting, and monitoring, measuring, and reporting. Okay. So basically, as a part of this principle 9, company need to do the data privacy audit so that they can demonstrate their compliance regarding the data privacy controls, monitoring, measurings, and reporting. Okay. And apart from this, guys, as we discussed earlier, as per the respective data privacy law, you need to conduct an audit and you need to demonstrate your compliances. Okay. Now, to support enterprise and IS auditor, to support enterprise IS auditors plays a very important role in evaluation of data privacy program. Correct? Because auditor would be conducting the audit of the data privacy program. As a part of this audit, okay, auditor will check the effectiveness of data privacy program, including what? Will check whether the data privacy requirements are being adhered in the third party contract or not. Suppose if you have onboarded any vendor for the purpose of any activity, so have you included the data privacy requirement into the contract or not? We'll check what is the retention period of a data, whether retention period is aligned with the regulatory requirement. We'll make sure that companies are adhering with the cross border regulations. Okay, if they are doing any cross border transactions, are they adhering with the cross border regulations or not? We'll check whether the employees are being provided with the appropriate training about the data privacy regulations. Okay. We'll check whether they are maintaining the data inventory register, correct? PII, which we discussed earlier, they need to maintain that inventory. So whether that inventory is there or not. Whatever request that we are receiving from data subject for which whether we are properly tracking those requests, we are logging that request, and we are providing an appropriate resolution. So these are some of the pointers that we will be verifying in the data privacy audit. Okay, guys. So this is about data privacy. Now, the next topic is what? Data governance and classification. So this we discussed in our previous sessions as well. Okay. So what organization need to do? First, organization need to maintain a detailed inventory of the information asset. Correct? They will maintain a detailed inventory. Now, when I say a detailed inventory of IT asset or information system asset, so information system assets includes everything, your people, process, and technologies. So once the detailed inventory would be maintained, what we need to do is we need to classify that inventory as per the severity. Correct? As per the severity, what we need to do, we need to classify the information. In order to classify the information, what we would be doing, we would be using a data classification guidelines or data classification policy procedures of the company that will tell us that what would be the appropriate classification level that a user need to choose. And the prime responsibility of doing this data classification has been assigned to the information owner. For example, if I have created some document, then it is my responsibility to assign the appropriate classification level because I am the owner of that information. So information owner is primarily responsible for deciding the appropriate classification level based on the severity of data and based on the data classification policy of the company. Generally, like as we this also we discussed earlier, generally as a part of data classification policy, you will see that there are different labels. Like company will create a public label, internal, external, confidential, or restricted. And as per this labeling, user need to choose the appropriate classification label. Correct? So this is the example of data classification. And let me tell you guys, this data classification topic is uh, very important from the newer exam syllabus perspective. Recently, like one of our student has given the exam and he told me, Sachin, that I found three questions on the data classification. Okay. So this is not that difficult topic. This is very easy. You just need to understand the appropriate classification level based on the severity. They may ask who is the responsible person for classifying a data. Is it an information owner? Is it a data privacy officer? Or is it like, they may give you four options. Custodian of data, who is or IT team. So just focus on this concept or data classification. You may see couple of question in your examination from this topic. Okay. So this is about a data classification, guys. Now next is a data inventory and the classification. So whatever inventory that we have prepared, guys, nowadays, whenever you are as an auditor, also whenever you are verifying the IT asset inventory, in the inventory also you will see that appropriate classification levels are being defined based on the CIA rating. In the inventory also what we are doing, we are putting a CIA rating, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Based on that CIA rating, we are calculating the overall classification level of that inventory. Okay. So that is also important as an auditor. You need to check whether the inventories are also being classified. And once the classification is done, we will implement an appropriate and suitable control to protect that data. And that inventory needs to be updated on a regular basis. Okay. So this is about data inventory and classification. Guys, any query, any doubt uh, for whatever topics we discussed till now? Any query, any doubt that you want to ask? Any query, any doubt?
Sachin, I have a question. So,
Please.
as far as I remember, the data classification topic was there previously as well. So, what is
Perfect.
different now?
Yeah. So basically, data classification was there previously as well. Now they have, see, earlier it was there, I believe, in your domain three. Now they have added this topic along with the data privacy. Okay, so in
Oh,
the data, from the perspective of data privacy, they are asking the users to classify the data and appropriate control needs to be implemented with respect to the classification. Then they have elaborated this topic little bit. Previously, there were only the top data classification topic was there, but it was only from the specific of policies and procedure that the company should have a policy procedures where they would be documenting that what would be the different level. Now they have added this control from the, they have added this topic from the control perspective, that we also need to implement a control around the classification. Then you will see one more
Oh,
topic in domain 5, which is a DLP. So they have
yeah.
merged the data classification with the DLP as well, because at the time of implementation of DLP, data classification plays a very important role, correct? So yeah, that is the new thing. Otherwise, yeah, it was there in the previous syllabus as well. It is just that they have elaborated this topic bit more.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Perfect, guys. Now we will discuss about legal purpose, consent, and legitimated interest. So, guys, whenever organizations are collecting any personal informations from the data subject, for that, obviously, they have to take a consent. There has to be a legal purpose for collecting that information, and that information will be collected and processed in the legitimated interest. Okay. So we'll discuss about each of this one by one. First is a legal purpose. What is the meaning of legal purpose? Okay, legal purpose will define, it will describe and specify in the privacy notices, like when company will provide the privacy notices at the time of putting the privacy notices itself, they will define a purpose, that for which purpose they are collecting the data. Okay, and that purpose should comply with the applicable laws, and it should relies on the permissible legal basis. Okay, for example, suppose if I am selling a drug. Now, for the purpose of selling a drug, if I am asking your Aadhaar card, or if I am asking your address, so this is not a legal purpose, correct? So we need to make sure that the the purpose for which we are collecting our data, that purpose has to be complied with the applicable laws, and it has to be complied with the regulatory requirements. Okay, and then we need to align the subsequent use of personal information and sensitive information within the purpose provided and the consent obtained. This we discussed in the previous class as well. Suppose you have collected the data for X purpose, and now you want to use the same data for the Y purpose. You cannot use the same unless and until you take a consent from the customer. Okay, because in consent we are specifying a purpose. In a previous example, we have seen that we have collected a data for the purpose of downloading a PAN card. Now that Aadhaar card or that address or that phone number you cannot use to promote your other product. If you want to use that, then you have to mention that in a privacy notice, that whatever information that we have collected from you, we may use that information for the marketing purpose. So guys, when you will read the privacy notice, in the privacy notice, generally you will see this line that we have collected your personal information. That information can be used for the purpose of marketing our product. Okay, so you might have seen that once you provide your mobile number, email address to the company, you start receiving their emails, you start receiving their promotion messages, promotion emails on your ID. Why? Because they have taken your consent for the same. Suppose if they are doing without your consent, then maybe you can raise that point as an observation, or maybe as a gap, that why you have not taken the prior permission from the customers. Okay. The purpose for which personal information collected, used, and shared must be consistent with the associate legal requirements. Okay, as we discussed, that the purpose has to be aligned with the legal requirement, such as a GDPR, while EU member state must meet the minimum requirement. E- each may establish additional or more specific requirement. Therefore, it is important for enterprise to know the requirement of all the countries for which personal information is collected and processed. So, guys, suppose uh, if you have a business in multiple countries where there are multiple privacy laws, then obviously you need to comply with the respective privacy law. You need to make sure that we are complying with all the laws which are there. Okay, so this is a legal purpose. Then next is a consent. So this I believe we discussed very much in a detail in our previous class as well, that we need to give the appropriate implicit consents. We need to take those consents from a user. This will be collected at the time of collection of data. Okay. When we are drafting this consent form, we'll take the help of the privacy engineer. Okay, because in this particular task, you may also require some legal expert, like legal subject matter expert people who can understand the legal languages, correct? So while drafting a consent, you may take an help of privacy engineer to ensure that consent are aligned with the privacy laws, privacy regulations. Similarly, in some privacy law, you will see that customers or users are given an option to withdraw the consent anytime whenever they feel they can withdraw the consent. Okay. So for that also we should have an appropriate mechanism to take care that request, and accordingly to process that request we should have an appropriate mechanism. Okay. So this is about a consent. Now the next is legitimated interest. So what is a legitimated interest, guys? Legitimated interest is the basis for lawful processing of a data. So whenever we are collecting the data from a data subject, there has to be a legitimated interest for the same, or there has to be an appropriate relationship between the data subject and data controller. For example, guys, your company is collecting some personal information from you. For example, they are collecting a PAN card from you. So obviously there would be a legitimated interest for collecting a PAN card. Why they are collecting a PAN card? So that they can deposit your TDS. Okay, they can file your returns, or they can use that particular information for the purpose of submitting the reports. Correct. So there is a legitimated interest for collecting a PAN. Similarly, they are collecting your Aadhaar number, they are collecting your phone number or email address. Why they are doing the same? They are doing the same so that your identity can be verified, your background verifications can be completed. So guys, whenever somebody is collecting a data from you, private PII data for the you from you, you need to make sure that there has to be a lawful reason or lawful processing of a data, and there has to be an appropriate relationship uh, 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 to process that data. Otherwise, there is no need to share the data, share that data. Correct. Obviously, we have a right to ask that what will you do from the data? What is the need of this data? And any whicher way, the companies are also specifying those things in the privacy notices as well. So as an auditor, you just need to make sure that companies are collecting information for the legitimated interest. For this also, guys, like in the GDPR, you will see one requirement of doing an LIA assessment, legitimated interest assessment. For example, when they will decide what data would be collected, I suppose I'm starting a new company. Okay, as a part of my business, whatever business I am doing for that business, I need to collect this data. So in GDPR, it is also mentioned that you need to do first LIA, legitimated interest assessment. In the LIA, you will identify why you want to collect the data. So you will do the necessary test. Is it necessary to collect that information? Can we achieve same purpose without collecting that information? Yes or no? If no, then we will collect the data. If yes, if we can process that purpose, if we can achieve that purpose without processing that data, then we may not collect the data. So we need to do the necessary test, we need to do the balancing test, and we need to document their outcomes. So like you will see the company who are following the GDPR, they would be doing a LIA activity, legitimated interest assessment. Okay. So this is also very important. Then the next point, the interest and the legal right of individual could supersede the interest of enterprise if individual did not reasonably expect the further processing. For example, company have collected a data for some purpose. Okay, so that processing of data is in the interest of the company. For example, now they are processing your data, and they are so earlier company have launched a product A, and you are a customer of product A. Now company is launching a product B. Now company is launching a product B. In this launch also they are using their your privacy your PII information, and then they are registering you as a customer over there. So now in this case, it is in the interest of the company, but it is not in the interest of the stakeholder. I can give you a very classical example here of the Paytm. So guys, previously what Paytm was doing, Paytm was providing a services of wallet, correct? They were just providing us a services of wallet, that as a user we can create our wallet and all, correct? Then you might have noticed that suddenly there was a one notification that you need to do the eKYC. Okay. If you will not do the eKYC, your wallet will stop functioning. Like you cannot use the Paytm wallet. Now, while doing the eKYC, what they have done, they have opened the customer's account in the Paytm payment bank. What they have done, guys, they have opened the customer's account while doing the KYC, eKYC. They have opened my Paytm bank account. And like as an user, suppose I was not aware, I thought that they were doing this KYC just to update my wallet. Okay. But along with that, they have also opened the Paytm payment banks. Now, when RBI found this particular instances that they are not following a proper eKYC rules and all, they have banned the Paytm. Correct. This was also one of the reason of banning the customer onboarding in case of Paytm. Correct, guys. So this is what it is saying, that the interest and the legal right of individual could supersede the interest of enterprise if individual did not reasonably expect the further processing. So you need to make sure that whatever data is collected, that data is processed only for that purpose. If we are doing and using the data for other purposes, we need to take an appropriate consent from the users. Okay. And when organization would be doing this legitimated interest exercise, or whenever they would be doing an LIA activity, they will involve the legal counsel, somebody from a legal team or legal counselor as well. Okay. And that legal counselor will also provide the input in terms of doing this assessment. And as I told you earlier, as per GDPR law, company need to do the LIA activity. Okay. So that assessment would be done. It would be documented. Uh, Now we can check, like as per your regulatory requirement, it is required or not required. If it is required, maybe you can ask for this. Okay. This is clear, guys. Legitimated interest is clear. Legitimated interest is clear to everyone. Any query, any doubt? Perfect. Okay.
Thank you.
Similarly, guys, you will also see the NIST privacy frameworks as well. For example, few companies are using an NIST privacy frameworks as well to build their privacy management program. So like this is the complete NIST framework. Let me just show you. So this is a complete NIST privacy framework, which can be adopted by a company while establishing the data privacy governance program. Okay, they may follow the NIST. For example, you might have heard about NIST 800, which is used for cybersecurity programs, correct? To implement an appropriate CCMP process or cybersecurity process, we are using NIST 80053, correct? So similarly, for the data privacy also, there is a NIST standard which company can use and which company can adopt to implement an appropriate privacy framework into the company. So now from the NIST framework perspective, they have added just this controls, okay? Control related to data processing policies, procedures, okay? Control related to data processing and communicating this policy procedures to the users. So if you will see this, this is a very detailed framework. Let me just show you. But they have not added the entire framework. See, this is the complete framework of data privacy: identify, govern, control, communicate, protect, detect, respond, and recover. Then against each the function, there are certain categories, and there are certain, in this all these categories, there are certain controls which organization need to implement, correct? So this is a detailed descriptions of this privacy framework. Suppose if you are interested to read the framework, entire framework, then maybe I will share you the copy of this NIST privacy framework. But here they have just added these two functions. Okay. As a part of this two function, what organization need to do is organization need to make sure that they have incorporated, they have developed and implemented appropriate activity to enable enterprise or individual to process data within a sufficient granularity to manage the privacy risk. Okay. And also we as an enterprise, whether we have implemented an appropriate control to communicate to the users that how your data would be processed. So this we discussed in the privacy notices as well, correct? How we would be communicating the to the users that how your data would be processed and all. Okay. So this is just the control that they have added here. Okay. So yeah, I will upload this document in your drive as well so that you can refer to the document. Now, guys, next is a trans-border data flow. So as we were discussing in our previous session, sometime what is happening? We are transmitting data between a two company. Okay. Now, whenever we are doing this data transmission, we need to make sure that we are complying with both the countries' laws. For example, the company from where the data we from where we are sending a data, or the company, so the country where you are receiving a data. So whatever privacy law that is being applicable, we need to make sure that we are complying with those laws. Okay. While sending this data, this is very important, we need to make sure that data has been sent in the appropriate encrypted manner. Okay. Data has been sent like in the encrypted manner so that hackers cannot intercept that data. Okay. The security of data would be maintained. So now here, this is like depends from which country we are sending a data. Sometime what will happen? There are certain restrictions. For example, in India, you cannot send data from India to China, correct? Because India has blacklisted China country. So likewise, you just need to see what are the countries that that is being blacklisted, whether you can share data with that country or not, and all. So this is about a transborder data flow. As an auditor, when you are doing an audit, as per your respective law of land, you need to ensure the compliance of this particular section. Okay. So this is all about data privacy, guys. Now, they have just added one more topic here, where they have what they have done. They have summarized a couple of topics from domain 2, 3, 4, or 5. As a part of information security management, organization need to make sure that whatever information which they are processing, that informations are appropriately protected and appropriate controls are implemented to safeguard that information asset. Now, what controls we will implement to protect those assets, guys? Risk assessment we would be doing. We will be developing a policy. All these topics are there in your domain 1, domain 2. Incident response management, security awareness training, security architecture design and review, vulnerability management. These topics are there in your domain 3. BCPDR is there in your domain 4. Identity access management is there in domain 5. SIM will discuss in domain 5. So they have just, they have just combined a lot of domains here. And they have mentioned that as a part of information security management, organization need to implement the below mentioned controls. And these controls you will see in the respective domains when we would be discussing those domains. So yeah, this is all about your domain 2, guys. We have completed our discussion on domain 2. Now, if you have any query, any doubt, you can ask. Yes, Rohit, tell me.
Sachin, just had one question with regards to that transporter like transmission.
Yeah.
You mentioned like we have to encrypt the data. Are there any like basic guidelines mentioned on what kind of encryption should be there, and while transferring the data, what like whether they have to use a TLS 1.3, 1.2, what kind of
Yeah.
encryption needs to be maintained in that manner?
Yeah. So basically, whenever we read any regulatory requirement, Rohit, so they will not specify the encryption standards and all. They will just mention generic that we need to use the strong encryption mechanism while doing a data transfer. So this is a general term, correct? Now, why they are not mentioning about a TLS 1.1 or 1.2? Because see, now earlier TLS 1.0 was strong, but then somebody have cracked the TLS 1.0. Now it is advisable to use TLS 1.2 and above. Correct. So whatever is there currently, like whatever encryption mechanism which is strong, as per that, the regulator will just mention that please use the strong encryption mechanism while data transfer. Now, when we will go for audit, we will ask the company which encryption standard you have used. Then we will check whether it is strong or whether it is a weak. If it is a weak, we'll highlight that you're not using a strong encryption. Okay, Rohit. So this is how it works.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Any other query, any other doubt, guys?
Sachin, can you just go back to the last portion, which is information security management you were saying the
Yeah,
last slide?
this
So,
one.
so what is the purpose? We do have these specific topics all across CISA
Correct.
syllabus. What
Yeah.
is the purpose of this particular section inserted here?
So basically, they have just combined all this and they are
Right.
mentioning that as a part of information security management in order to protect information in order to protect the information asset, you need to implement the following controls.
Oh, okay. Understand what it is. Specifically for the data
Specifically,
protection. Okay, okay.
yeah, from the perspective of protection of information asset, you need to make sure that the following controls are being implemented. And generally, the your information IS team, somebody from the IS team, would take a responsibility to implementation of this control.
So we have
So
performed risk assessment and security policy
yeah,
development, all those things. Okay, got it. Okay, thank you.
perfect. Perfect. Okay, guys. So this is all about your domain two. Now we'll just discuss one topic in domain three, and then we will do the Q&A. Because as I told you in domain three, there are no major changes. They have just added one topic of DevOps and DevSecOps. So guys, have you heard about this term called as a DevOps or DevSecOps? DevOps.
DevOps, yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
tell
is
me
a
what is that?
continuous CI/CD. It is a continuous integration and also continuous development. It will happen in a loop.
Perfect. CI/CD pipeline. Companies are
Yeah,
using a
yeah.
CI/CD pipeline. So
All
those,
the
yeah,
deployments and everything approvals will be taken care through the pipeline in a automated way.
yeah,
So there is no requirement of a DBA or a Windows administration. The code will be locked and it will be, and after reviewing the code, if I give the necessary approvals, right, again the developers or me, we cannot change the code. Whichever
yeah.
is locked and whichever is approved will go into the pipeline and it will get deployed.
Very good answer.
We have integrity
Yeah,
also in this.
yeah, yeah. Tell me, integrity.
Yeah,
You were saying
because the
something.
yeah, we can achieve integrity also in this because in the conventional model, right? This application people, example, if they're record if they're deleting 100 records, right? With the again in the last moment, they will come back with the same change request, and they will say that we want to delete okay, 5 records extra. We have forgotten to include that in the code. But in the
Correct.
CI/CD, it is not going to happen. Everything will be locked.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So guys, generally that this is being used by the developer. So those who are from the development background, while developing any software or application, what they do nowadays, they use a CI/CD pipelines. So there are certain tools, whether you have heard about it or not. For example, Bitbucket is there. Have you heard about Bitbucket? Bitbucket we are using.
GitHub, yeah, we
Git,
use the
Git
GitHub.
yeah, Git also in Git we you can create a libraries or you can create the packages. Then once the package would be created in a Git, that package in order to follow the CI/CD pipeline, you may be using a Git, a Bitbucket or Jenkins. Like these two tools are very popular in the market. So in Jenkins and all this, there would be an entire CI/CD pipeline. Okay. So for example, once the development is done, For example, you are doing a development, then that development will go to that pipeline. Here code, like developer would be working on the code, so he would be building a code. Once the one module is ready for the code, it will go for the unit testing, integration testing. So then unit testing, integration testing would be done. Then your QA would do the testing. Once the QA testing is also being completed, the code would be deployed into the production environment. So this particular technique is called as a DevOps. Like in a traditional method, what was happening, we were saying that developers should not have an access to the production environment. Correct, guys? In order to ensure the segregation of duty, you might have heard this particular thing in the books as well, that
Yes,
developers should not have
yes.
an access to the
Least
production
privileges
environment.
and
Least
authority. Yeah.
privilege, correct? But in case of DevSecOps, I would say that we are taking some extra risks, because here we are integrating the development and operational related work. Correct. And we are trying to do the development using an agile methodology. So this can create a new risk, but it can result into the faster development. So when organization decide to choose the DevOps, okay, they need to consider the various factors, that how we can mitigate the risk of SODs, how we would be monitoring the task of developers and the operational team, how we'll make sure that there is no unauthorized changes and all, correct? So that is
Yeah.
being taken care by the company while choosing the DevOps. Similarly, guys, on the same manner like DevOps, there is one more concept, DevSecOps. Now in DevSecOps, what will happen? They have added the security in the operations, in the development and operation. For example, previously what was happening, once your application was ready, okay, and once the application was migrated into the production, after that we were doing the security assessment of that application, and then we will find out whether is there are any bugs or is there any problem. Then again it will go to the developer will write a code for the same. Then again that code will follow the release management, change management process, and then migration will happen. So instead of doing this, like previously, what was happening, the security was added in the application later in the life cycle after the development was completed. Now, as a part of DevSecOps, what we have done, we have added the security in the development phase itself. So, for example, once your code is de developed, once your package is ready, this is my package, then we will give this package to the information security team. Information security team would be using a lot of tools. For example, Vera is there, one tool is there. With the help of this, you can do the testing, security testing. As a part of security testing, we are doing dynamic security testing like DAST and SAST. These are some terminologies which they are using. So they will do the testing, security testing. Then if there are any findings, then they will tell to
HashiCorp
the
also we will use, right?
yeah.
HashiCorp.
Yeah, there are a
Yeah.
lot of tools are there. So then the security, if he will found any findings, he will communicate that test results to the developer. Developer will take care of those findings. If any changes required in a code, he will do the change and then he will submit the one. Then the security team will provide a sign up that yes, the code has been developed properly, sign off from our side, and then it will go for the production. So this is what is called as a DevOps or DevSecOps. Nowadays this is very popular in the market. Whatever development which are happening, okay, they all are following DevOps or DevSecOps concept. So you should know what is this concept. Okay, is it clear, guys? Is it clear to everyone what is DevOps
Sachin,
and dev? Yeah.
just one thing, like from an audit perspective, do we look into like the DAST and SAST that is being performed as well?
Yeah, we just look the reports because we in the reports we can identify that what are the vulnerabilities which were there in the code. Then we can check whether those vulnerabilities are fixed or not. Okay, so this we can do as an IS auditor. Okay, we
Or
should know that this kind of testings are being performed, and as an auditor, we just need to evaluate the results of those testings. Okay,
or perfect. Thank you.
clear? Any other
So
query? Any other doubt? Yeah. same.
Sachin, so traditionally we have a segregation of duties that for development is separate and the production is separate, right?
Perfect. Yeah.
Now, with the introduction of these two new topics, the crux of the matter is that to increase the efficiency, these two domains should be mixed up with some extra K of
Perfect.
event
Yeah.
control. Right?
Perfect.
No,
Perfect.
in this also we have seen, I have implemented like the CACD. Like we have a dedicated service accounts, and the service accounts will only be used to deploy the code in the okay onto the databases side. So we will review this service account, whether the passwords are getting changed and what kind of permissions are there.
Correct. Correct.
Right.
So environment would be segregated in this case also. It is just that you have bring both the team together to work jointly. Okay, so that work can be conducted in efficient manner. There is no two-way from. Okay, so this is what the purpose of implementing DevOps or DevSecOps.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. Now let's do some Q&A on domain 2 topic or domain 3 topic. Okay, guys. So, and one more thing, guys, in your drive also, in your Google Drive, you can now see that I have uploaded Q&A like we in class we are just discussing very few question and answer, but here you can see there are a lot of question and answers for the practice. So you can practice those question and answers. So that is being uploaded here in your drive also. Okay. So you can refer to that and
This is
yeah,
Isaka Q&A also.
So this QA is based on 28th edition.
yeah, new review manual.
Okay.
Okay, fine.
Perfect, guys. So let's do the Q&A. Tell me the answer. Sorry.
Yeah.
You can write in a chat as well. The primary purpose of data privacy governance program. What is the primary purpose of privacy governance program? Deployment of new technology, create marketing. No, this is very easy. Correct. The correct answer here is what? Option A. All of you are saying option A. Perfect. We can move to the next question. Okay. How is the personal data generally defined? Generally, they are asking. Otherwise, what would be considered as a personal data that will depend on the uh, law which you are following, because every law will be having their own definitions of personal data. But in general, we can say any piece of information that relates to an identifiable person, it is called as a personal data. Okay. So yeah, all of you are saying option B. Option B is the correct answer. Next question on your screen. Okay. What about others? Okay. What must enterprise do to ensure the privacy programs are practice and effective? Focus solely on internal and external. Avoid. Yeah, this we had discussed, correct? We need to focus both internal and external requirement. So this is the correct answer. Next question on your screen. Which of the following is not a purpose of privacy notice? Like why we are putting a privacy notices? So all other options A, B, D relates to the privacy notices only, correct? We are putting it to build and maintain data subject trust, provide explanation that what data collected, what is the use of data and all, correct? For the purpose of internal audit, this doesn't seems to be correct. So yeah, this is the correct answer. Next question on your screen. Why we'll require the PII, personal information inventory? Why will you require that? Okay, great. To support the privacy management measures through awareness of data asset. Okay, so yeah. Next question on your screen. What is included in data incident register? Yeah, this is easy, correct? We discussed, correct? In the incident register will include everything, all the details. What personal data, incidents occurred, their facts, efforts, measure taken. Okay. Then in a previous class, we discussed that there has to be a separate privacy notice and separate terms of use statement, because in some cases, what is happening? We are adding the clauses of privacy notices into the terms of use statement. So why we need to create both this separate? What is an important reason for the same? Great. Perfect. All of you are saying option A. Yeah. So yeah, A is the correct answer. Next question. When should appropriate consent to be obtained from individual? Yeah, like when we need to take a consent? At the time of collection of data, correct? Then if you are using that information for new purpose, again take a consent. If you transfer that to third party or other jurisdiction, again take a consent. So every time consent needs to be taken. Okay. What is a key consideration when you are doing a LIA activity, legitimate interest assessment? When you are doing, uh, what would be the key consideration in LIA? We do certain test, correct? I've shown you one LIA report as well. That in LIA, what details are being captured. Perfect. So key consideration here is what? Option B only. Perfect. So this is all about domain 2. Now let's do one or two question on the DevSecOps concept as well. And then we will take a break. Okay. Perfect. Tell me, guys, what is a common risk associated with the adoption of DevOps in the organization? Out of four options, what do you think is the main risk when we are opting for the DevOps? Okay. Okay. Mohan, can you tell me why D? So, like, now there is
In
difference of
normal,
opinion. Yeah.
yeah, in normal, okay, DevOps, we will be not knowing, right? Like examples, okay, sometimes in the DevOps administration, in this new methodology, right, in the DevOps, we may have the elevated access also to do the necessary changes onto the prod systems. By I told, right, we will be having a separate service account, and that's okay. Separate service accounts, sometimes it needs elevated access to do the deployments onto the prod servers. So we have to be aware of the situation. Okay, because in this situation, development team can directly deploy the code onto the prod systems with the help of CI/CD.
So you have opted for D in a decreased collaboration between development and security team.
Yeah, security teams has to be aware of that. Actually, that's the reason I have given that. I don't know whether
But
right or wrong.
it will see what it is written in option D. It will decrease the collaboration. With the help of DevOps or DevSecOps, we are increasing a collaboration. Na? See,
Okay,
the
okay.
point which you are or the explanation which you are giving is perfectly correct.
Hmm.
Okay. But in option, what it is written, decreased collaboration between development and security
Okay,
team.
okay. Potential.
Correct. So that is why it is eliminated. And in option
Okay.
C, like the way you have mentioned, correct, we don't have a much visibility as comparing like in a traditional development method, we would be having a proper clarity in terms of who is doing what. Now, in this
Yes, yes.
case, sometime since we have increased the collaboration between the team, so sometime we not be having a visibility over the changes which
Correct.
are being
C
done.
would be the option, right? Yes.
Yeah, correct.
CACD, what happens is
Hmm.
sometimes the chances of auto approval may get
Yeah,
missed.
may get we missed. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely
actually,
correct.
we need to, especially if we are auditing the CACD, right? We
Yeah,
need to check if we are checking the CRQs, I mean to say the change request dump, right? We need to check
perfect.
if the approvals are going
Are being taken.
properly or not.
Correct.
I've seen this actually in my case. In some cases,
Yeah,
approval actually got
missed.
missed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
correct.
actually, Sachin, I had this question actually that I wanted to ask. For CI/CD pipelines, there also might be like a logging mechanism that would be built in, right? For all these
Yeah,
since so from an audit perspective, how do we like how we normally do for a change request? We normally go about going in, thinking in the same direction. Like normally the BRD, we study the BRD, then we see whether the change
correct.
has been tested or not, and whether
Correct.
test plan was documented, whether there are test
Correct.
results documented and stuff like that. So the
Correct.
approach is going to be same, right? There is no change.
Approach has to
Same,
be
same,
same.
same.
Yeah, same. It is just that the way of doing a development has been changed, but our auditing approach would remain the same. We'll require all the document that
Oh,
okay, whether the test result, test cases, approval, QA testing, okay, the UAT testing, all those are being performed, all those are being documented. So that will be remain same, Rohit. You'll require
Correct,
everything.
correct, correct, correct. Because in this also the same thing, the QA testing and everything has to be performed, and
Correct.
they need to present the screenshots in the
Yeah, in the
production
tool,
deployment. Yeah, in the tool.
yeah, like
Yeah,
Jira, if they are using Jira or any other ticketing tool,
service now. Yeah,
so
they have
service now
to
they have to
provide the
upload
evidence
it there.
actually.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, guys, what is the answer for this? How can organization enhance the maturity of their DevSecOps practices? Suppose if I want to
We,
enhance maturity, yeah, this is pretty easy. Continuously reviewing and improving the security practices. Okay, perfect, clear.
and
Yeah,
one more thing have seen, Sachin, like example at the database
yeah,
I'll be creating one service account, right?
yeah,
Again, we will be giving the permission in the, I said, right, Hashi
yeah,
Vault, or I said, right? Uh,
correct.
okay, HashiCorp, okay, Vault. We call as HC Vault. Again, in the HC Vault, this service account will not go directly. Again, indirectly, it will create a temporary accounts. It
Correct,
will go in
correct.
that way.
Just to maintain the security.
Yes, yes, yes.
Perfect, guys. So this is all about domain three. So we have covered one, two, three, and now we'll start our discussion on domain four. So before we do that, can we take a break?
Yes, Sachin.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's take a break and then we will start our discussion for domain.
Hi, Sachin.
Yeah,
I
hi,
have.
Ninika.
I just wanted to confirm. So these are the two sessions that you planned. One was yesterday and today. So we are left with fourth and fifth domain.
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
we aiming to cover it today, or
No, no,
there was
no.
a
We'll
class?
require one more class. Initially, I thought that we'll able to cover that in a 5 hour, but
Mhm.
the way we are
Yeah.
discussing it is taking bit time. But no problem. We'll have a one more session of maybe 1 hour or 1.5 an hour, which require because see, I don't want to complete this in hurry bari. We'll take a decent amount of time. We'll discuss each and every topic. So if require, I will have another session with you people. I will update it in a group that very well in advance that okay, on this date we'll do one more session for 1 hour or 1.5 an hour, and then we'll complete Nivedita. So I believe today it will not be completed. Pretty
Yeah,
much
yeah, yeah, sure.
sure.
No, I just wanted to see. I think I might have to leave in some time, so just was confirming that
Yeah, yeah,
how
correct.
we'll be
We'll
able
we'll
to.
do one more session and we'll update in a group
Oh,
Nivedita.
perfect. Thank you so much, Sachin.
Okay, thank you. Let me know once you are back. For domain 4 and 5, I would upload the document. As of now, it is not uploaded. But yeah, I will upload that. Just give me confirmation, guys, once you are back. Just confirm me in a chat so that we can start our discussion. Okay, great. What about others? Okay, perfect. So let's start our discussion, guys. So now we will discuss about domain 4. In domain 4, we will be discussing about changes. So in domain 4, they have added one topic related to the log management. Okay. So we would be discussing that topic, that how to do the log management. What are the controls which organization needs to implement it in the log management. Okay. So guys, before we discuss this topic, can you please tell me what do you understand from the term called as a log? Log. What is a log? Tell me. Log means
It's a,
what?
it is a historical information of whatever the events has happened in a
Perfect.
system.
Perfect. So log is like an historical event of whatever transactions that has been occurred into the system. Okay. Now, for the purpose of log management, what organization would be doing? Organization would be maintaining or using some kind of system. So when we say log, guys, logs are also known as a audit trail. It will record
Audit.
and track all the log activity into the applications or system, and it will provide an historical records of actions which are being performed or system event and user interactions. Okay. Now, as a part of log, organization need to make sure that all the activity, including the type of event, the time of event, location of event, source of event, outcome of event, and identity of individual subject or subject, everything is being captured into the log. Okay, so whenever they would be establishing the log mechanism, they will make sure that this many details are being covered into the logs. Okay. Now there is a entire life cycle of the log management, how the log management process works in the company. Now, before we discuss this log management life cycle, let me just give you a real life example that how organizations are doing the log management of their various applications or systems. So like nowadays, most of the cases, guys, you will see that organizations are using what? They are using an SIEM solution. Can you tell me what is an SIEM solution? Security.
Security incident and event
Event
management.
management.
Like,
Yes,
like
security
Splunk.
is, yeah, security incident and event management. For example, there are a lot of SIM tools available in the market. Splunk is there, QRadar is there. Okay. So a lot of popular tools are there in the market which will collect the log, analyze the logs and all. Now let me just explain you how this function or how these tools are working in the company. So first, what company will do whenever they are installing these tools? First, what they do? First, they will integrate the various devices into the tool. For example, guys, in our organization, we have a firewall, we have a switch, we have a routers, okay, we have a DLP, we have a antivirus, okay, we have servers, we have a database. So there are a lot of equipments which are there in the company. Now all these equipments, like for in each this equipment or in each this application or system, this are generating their independent logs Firewall will be having their own log, switch, router, DLP, antivirus, VPN, correct? So each of this application device are generating their log. Now what SIM tool will do, guys? SIM tool will collect the log from the all the devices on all the sources. First, what it will do? It will collect the logs from the variety of the sources, variety of the department. After collecting this log in SIM, what we can do? We can define a certain rule. Okay, we can create certain rule sets. Based on that rule set, what it will do? It will do the event correlation. And after doing the event correlation, what it will do? It will identify the suspicious activities, or it will identify the suspicious attempt in our system. So that is what the working of SIM. Let me just show you one slide here. Guys, is there anyone who have audited the SIM tool? Any one of you have ever audited SIM? So what SIM will do? It will detect, analyze, respond to security threat. Okay. Now, what is the functioning of SIM, guys? It will collect the logs from the variety of the sources. Then it will do the event correlation. After the event correlation, what it will do? It will give us the alert that, okay, this is the alert. Now you monitor those alert. So this is what the use of SIM: log collection, log analysis, log forensic correlation. Okay. Application log monitoring, object log auditing, real time alerting and all, correct? It will also provide you a dashboard where you can do the reporting as well. Would CrowdStrike qualify as a SIM? I'm not pretty sure whether CrowdStrike have their SIM solution or not. Okay. CrowdStrike, are they providing SIM solution? I am not sure. But see, SIM tool, CrowdStrike have their EDR, they have their DLP, they have other such tools available. But I am not sure whether they have launched their SIM or not. CrowdStrike. Let me just check. Do they have SIM or not? Okay, now they have launched SIM also. CrowdStrike next generation SIM. Okay, so they have launched their SIM as well. Okay. So see, we need to buy the product because these vendors are providing all kind of services. For CrowdStrike, you can buy the EDR solution as well. You can buy the DLP as well. So with the help of vendor, maybe will able I will not be able to comment. But yeah, if they are selling the SIM product, then yes, the same kind of activity would be performed by the SIM. Now, guys, let me just discuss, guys. For example, those who have already done the audit of SIM, can you please tell me what are the points that you would be verifying during the audit of SIEM tool? Suppose you are doing an audit of SIM tool. Can you tell me what all points will verify? See, first we are
How it
discussing the
is
practical concept, and after discussing a practical concept, I will explain you the theory as well. Then you will be easily understand the theory. So I'm just trying to give you the practical example. Tell me, what will you
how
check?
it is okay, how it is configured,
Yeah,
and scope, and under the scope of this, how many, whether the high valuable assets have been integrated or not.
yeah. Apart from Mohan, anyone else? Because I know that you know about SIM. We had discussed that earlier also.
Sachin, could you
Anyone
check
else?
the
Yeah.
criticality of those events? Like, if, how the rating of that incident has been done, and, whether it's defined in the system or not, and accordingly, whether the resolution has taken place or not for those events or incidents.
Yeah. Before we reach to the event, you will start one by one. So first step is what? When we do the SIM audit, first we need to ask the company boss how many device are integrated with the SIM. First, you provide me that inventory. Then how many device you have integrated with the SIM. Then I will compare this list with my asset register. And I will make sure that at least all the critical devices are integrated with the SIM. This is my first point of verification. Correct, guys? Because SIM will not generate any events if the device is not integrated. So first I need to make sure that we have integrated all the devices. Okay. And generally when you go for audit, like company will say that we will not integrate all the devices, but at least we will integrate the critical devices. So in the asset register, there would be an asset classification column. From the classification, you can identify which all assets are critical. And as per that asset criticality, will verify whether the critical assets are covered in the SIM or not. So this is the first thing we need to verify. Then second, we will verify the SIM rule sets. Okay. Rule sets. So as I told you, have you seen the SIM rule sets, guys? Have you seen the use cases of SIM or the rule sets of the SIM by any chance? Let me just show you how the SIM use cases are built. Let me just open one PPT so that you will get an understanding. So for example, this is my use cases of an SIM. So as you can see here, okay, we have built a use cases for each of the devices, for Windows Server, for the Linux server, okay, for the firewall, for the VPN, for the antivirus, for the emails, for the IPS, for the proxy server, for the database, for the routers, antivirus. So first we have verified how many devices are integrated. Then each the devices, what are the rule set? For example, if somebody will shut down my server or somebody will try to reboot a server, immediately SIM will throw an alert to the SOC team that somebody have done a rebooting of a server. Then we will check, is that a business need, or like that was a genuine activity, or some hacker are trying to do the same. So likewise, different use cases are built into the SIM. If suppose somebody is trying to do the brute force attempt, okay, then immediately the alert would be generated in the SIM. Okay. If there is failed login attempt, if there is a failed login attempt from the admin ID or from the privileged ID, will get an alert for the same. Correct. So likewise, what happens in the SIM, the rule set and the use cases are being built. So as an auditor, you need to take those use cases, you need to evaluate those use cases, whether the appropriate use cases are built or not. Then the next part comes your event or alert monitoring mechanism. Here we would be checking whether whatever alerts that is being generated from the SIM, whether all that events are being logged or not. Okay. Our company using any tool for the purpose of logging the events, like generally we use a service now and all, correct? So whether those tools are used or not, what was the criticality that is being assigned to those events, whether those are critical, not critical, based on the criticality, whether organization have defined the timelines by when they will be taking the actions. Okay. What actions are taken, whether those tickets or events are closed or not. So this is how you will audit this particular area of SIM. Okay. So this is about a practical concept, guys. This is how we would be doing the entire log management. Now let's come to our theoretical discussion, guys. Log management. So the purpose of log management is to ensure the availability, integrity, and confidentiality of a log data. So whatever log data that we are collecting, we want to maintain availability, integrity, and confidentiality. So as a part of log management, first we would be collecting the data from the variety of the source. Okay. Then based on that data analysis, it will generate the alert. Then we would be having a centralized SIEM server where your logs would be stored. Can you please tell me, guys, in India, what is a retention period of the logs? Retention period of your ICT infrastructure log. ICT infra log retention period in India. Any one of you? Have you heard about certain? Have you heard about certain? No. No, 2 days. As per certain guidelines, guys, you need to keep your ICT infrastructure log at least for 180 days. This is the guideline of certain, and these guidelines are applicable to everyone, whether you are a listed company, non-listed company, whatever. It is applicable to everyone. And as per this guideline, all the service provider, intermediary, data center, body, corporate, government organization shall mandatory enable a log of their ICT infrastructure system for the rolling period of 180 days. So this is a retention period requirement. Now, when I would be going for audit, I would be checking whether these logs are being retained for at least 180 days or not. So we need to check the storage of the logs. The logs are being stored as per the regulatory requirements. So I will ask the evidence of oldest logs available in a system, and then I will verify the retention period as well. Then analyze the data. Further analysis is conducted on a stored log to identify any issues or insight. Correct. So event correlations can also be performed using SIM solutions. Then after that, whenever we found any issue, or whenever we found any gap, or whenever we found any suspicious activity, we communicate that to the team, appropriate team for the actions, that this alert has been generated or this activity has been detected from the SIM, and so we'll report that concerns, and accordingly they will take an actions. And as I told you that in the tool and this, we need to make sure that those events are getting monitored, logged, and properly closed. So action plan are also documented for the same. So this is your entire log management life cycle, guys. Okay, starting with the collection and till the time closing the alert. Okay, so step by step process would be there. Now, log management infrastructure we can divide in a three part. Okay, one would be the generation of log, second would be the analysis of the logs, and third would be the monitoring of the logs. So here also, guys, the same thing. The log generation tiers consists the host that generates the log data. So whatever host application services would be there, they would be generating the log. Then that log would be transferred to the SIM. Okay, so we would be having one console, or we will provide one integration of that applications or that system to the SIM. So that logs would be transmitted to the SIM. Okay. Once the logs would be transmitted in the SIM, they would be doing the analysis of a log on a real time basis. Correct. And they will store the logs as per the retention period of the company. They will also store your logs for the appropriate time period, and analyze the log, identify the suspicious activities. In the SIM tool and all, you can see the console as well. Like in the SIM console, what will happen? You can see all the events, like, the count of event, how many alerts generated, how many alerts were analyzed. Correct. So this kind of console you will be able to see that, okay, in which server there was an alert, then how it was detected, then whether the action was taken or not. So this kind of console would be there, which will be giving you the detail of this security posture of a company. Okay. So the log monitoring part will include reviewing the console for the purpose of monitoring and reviewing the log data, results of automated log analysis. Then you can use this console to generate a report. From the console, you can download how many alerts are generated. Against those alerts, how many are false positive, or what are the remaining alerts where the team have taken an actions. Correct. So those kind of reports you can download and all. When as an auditor you are checking this control, you need to make sure that organization have implemented a POLP, principle of least privilege, where the access to the console would be given only to the limited set of users. Correct. So principle of least privilege would be followed here. And this is all about your log management infrastructure. I hope this is clear to everyone. Any query, any doubt related to the log management and log management life cycle? Does the AWS guard duty can be considered? Yes, but that would be limited only to the AWS instances. Correct. With the help of AWS guard, you can only identify the suspicious activity which are being done on the cloud. Like other infrastructure would not be covered in the AWS guard duty. Okay. Clear, guys? This is clear. Any query,
Uh,
any doubt? Yeah.
Sachin, I think I have a question on this, the last attempt. And if I connect
Yeah.
correctly, the question was like, is SIEM is a detection or preventive or corrective control? So
Yeah.
the question was like narrating all types of controls. And
Yeah.
the question was, is this deductive or preventive or corrective control? So what could be the right answer? It is like
So,
deductive
so
control.
yeah. So basically, SIM works both preventive and detective. Sometimes what happens before the event occurs, it can give the alert, correct? Because what it would be doing is it would be identifying the suspicious activity based on the pattern. So before the risk can materialized, it can give the real time alert, correct? And
Correct.
sometime what will happen when the event has been already occurred, then it can detect the errors as well. So
Correct.
SIM is both, like it is like a preventive control also, and it is a detective control as well. In the option they have given you all the four options, or like whether they have given you the combined option as well.
Well, honestly, I don't remember 100%, but I think it was deductive and then preventive as well. So I was shaky. I think put it like a deductive control.
Okay, okay. So
That
basically,
was I'm talking
yeah.
about.
So if you see primarily, like like primarily it is detective only, but sometime it will act as a sometime it will
Yeah,
act as a preventive control as well. But if we say that whether SIM is a preventive or detective, and if I have only one option, then obviously I will choose the detective only, because
deductive.
it cannot prevent like 101%, correct? For
That's
example,
right.
for example, like since you have asked this question, let me just explain you this with the help of another example. Now CCTV. Now
Yes,
CCTV can be considered as a detective control, and CCTV
correct.
can also be considered as a deterrent control as well. Okay,
Correct.
what is a
Yes.
deterrent control? Where we are giving a warnings. Now, for example, if CCTV is visible to the user that there are CCTV cameras installed in this area, then it can act as a deterrent control. But primarily, the main objective of detecting a CCTV is a
Deductive
detect
control.
the threat. So it is detective and deterrent both. But if I have to choose one option, I will choose detective.
Sometimes in some cases, like this, our Splunk will act as a
Preventive as well.
preventive
Yeah,
also, because
yeah,
on our critical servers, right? Example, if
yeah.
there is any long running processes are
Correct.
happening, right? We have kept an alert, like example, about 3 minutes. If there is any query is running beyond 3 minutes, it has to alert us. So in this way, we will check the code with the application team, what's running, whether we can kill that or something like that. It
Yeah, yeah.
has
I
saved
agree. Agree.
uh,
I agree that
many major
sometimes
incidents.
it is providing us and preventing the organization from a threat. But when we say that primarily the objective of SIM is to detect the threat, so it can be classified. If I have to choose one option, I will choose detective. But yeah,
Deductive.
it is
That's right.
it is doing both kind of
It
things.
is a hybrid actually.
Yeah, hybrid, both
Hybrid.
preventive and yeah. Perfect, guys. Now we'll just see the different types of logs. Okay, so here what they have added is they have just added a topic in relation to the different types of log. What are the different types of log? And as a part of those log, what details would be captured? So this is very easy. Like for example, event log. So event log generally will include the record of all the network traffic. Okay, and whatever events that is being generated, suppose if there is a event of password failure attempt and all, so all the events would be logged into the event log. In the Windows also, guys, you can check your event log, correct? When you will go to the event
Correct.
viewer, in the event viewer you can easily identify who have done a login, when they have done the login. So basically all the events are getting captured into the events log. Okay, then server log would be there, which will capture the activity specific to the servers. Okay, any activity like related to restarting a server, installing an update on a server. So that details will capture into the server log. System logs would be there, which will capture the activities which are done on a system. Okay. So any startup message which has been displayed to the user. For example, sometime you might have seen that when you are logging into the application or any systems or any laptop, you are getting one warning messages, correct? So the details of systems generally are being captured into the system log. Then we have an access log. Access log is very simple, correct? Whatever accesses which we are doing into the applications, okay, login, log out, and whatever modules that we are accessing, all this will capture into the access log. Change log will include the details of any modifications if we have done into the system, or if any changes are made, then that will be captured into the change log. Okay. Availability log will tell us about the uptime and availability of infrastructure. So this log will help us to track the SLA, because sometime we are adding an SLA related to uptime percentage, correct? So availability log will help you to check the SLAs, whether SLAs are met or not. Okay. Then we have a resource log. What resource log will do, guys? Resource log will collect the informations about the connectivity issues. So if there are any connectivity issue with the network devices, okay, then that details you can find into the resource log. Then we have a threat log. In threat log, what will happen? This will give us the details of any threat. So for example, in the domain 5, we would be discussing about threat management mechanism, where organization would be using certain tools to identify a threat. Okay, so that threat log will give you the alert about any malware attack or any threat which are there in our environment. So it will give that information. Database log, like, which will capture the details of any changes or any modification which we have done at a database level. If we have done changes into the database schema, database table, so that is being captured here. Error log, uh, this will give you the detail when the system is facing error and all. For example, suppose when you are not able to access certain websites, so then it is giving you an error log of 404. Correct, that okay, that we are not able to reach to this website. So this is the error log message, so that we can identify that where is the problem, and accordingly we can resolve the same. Then firewall logs would be there. Firewall log will tell us about the activities on the firewall, that whatever activities which we have performed on the firewall, who have access, what rules have been changed. So all that activities would be captured into the firewall logs. Then we would be having an operating system logs, which will tell us whatever activities that are being performed on the applications. Okay. And access control log we discussed earlier also, I believe this. So which will capture the all the details of access attempts which are done by the users. So this is just a type of log, guys, based on what it is doing. Now here the important thing is what, that organization need to implement an appropriate controls. Whatever kind of log which they are collecting, they need to make sure that appropriate access controls are implemented on the log mechanism, so that unauthorized person or intruder cannot alter the log, okay, or they cannot delete the log. So for that, we would be using a centralized log monitoring mechanism. A strong access controls would be implemented over there. Accesses would be given based on a principle of least privilege, or role-based access controls are being given, so that integrity of logs will be maintained. Okay, guys. So this is all about log management. And now we would be discussing about one more concept in domain 4, which is just shadow IT. Have you heard about this topic, guys? Shadow IT. Shadow IT, guys. Any one of you? Do you know what is a shadow IT? Tell me. What is a shadow IT?
Sharing our
No,
credentials to other person who will
no,
perform.
no.
Uh, Using the asset which has not been approved,
Approved by
us uh, like
approved by
proper process.
Approved by the company. Approved by the
approved
company.
by
Yeah, yeah.
IT department. Approved by IT department. For example, guys, if you are using any system, any services, any hardware, any software without the approval of IT team, for example, our team have acquired a new application. Okay. And when they are taking that decision, they have not involved the IT. So this situation can be considered as a shadow IT, that we have not taken the requisite approval of from an IT team. For example, I procured a new server, but I have not involved the IT team in the procuring the server. So this is also an example of shadow IT, correct? So now can you tell me, guys, based on this, what are the risks associated with the shadow IT? Suppose if you don't involve the IT team in the procurement process, what can go wrong? What can go wrong?
It may become okay, like security vulnerabilities and all those
Vulnerable,
things.
correct? Yeah,
Yes.
integration issue. Suppose there are chances that the asset which we are acquiring may not be compatible with our current enterprise architecture. Correct? Security vulnerabilities would be there. Unapproved tools and services can be used, which might be vulnerable for the organization's data management issues. So these are the risks associated with with the shadow IT. Now, in order to avoid this risk, what companies would be doing? They would be documenting their shadow ID policy, and in the policy they will clearly defines, okay, that whatever new software tools or any hardware which you are procuring, first we need to take an prior approval from an IT department. Okay, then IT department will work closely with the business team to understand their needs, and whatever they are procuring, they will review and they will approve the same. All the reviews and all the purchased will be approved by the IT department. Will assign a specific administrative rights to the users, ensuring that no unauthorized installation of new applications are allowed. So this is also a normal practice, guys. In the organization, we are maintaining a list of authorized software. Correct, guys? List of authorized software we are maintaining. Any user who want to install the application which is not there in the list of authorized software, they need to take an approval from an IT first. Correct? First, IT will assess whether that application is secure, not secure, whether it is vulnerable, not vulnerable. Then they will provide an approval, like exception approval will be taken, and then the application would be installed. As an auditor, we are also comparing what is the list of authorized software versus how many softwares are installed into the end user's machine. And if we found any deviation, we are raising that as an observation. Correct? So we'll do this. We'll conduct a regular training session to educate an employee about the shadow IT risk. That was in every, like whenever you are, even if you are installing any application, first take a prior permission from IT. If you are planning to acquire a new application, new softwares, take the approval from IT. So that educations we are creating. Okay. And we are also using certain tools, okay, like a discovery tools, which can discover and detect the use of unapproved applications or tools in our environment. Okay, so these are some of the best practices which companies are adopting to minimize the risk of shadow IT. Okay, guys, is it clear? Shadow IT is clear to everyone. Any query, any doubt you can ask. This is clear. Can we do some Q&A on this topic as well?
Yes.
So let's do the Q&A. And so domain 4 and yeah, tell me the answer. What about others? You are saying option A, and you are saying option C. Okay. Can you tell me, uh, Gopika, why C, why not A? Why C, why not A?
Actually, both of them look the same. Collecting data, generating alerts is a form of collecting data, so I'm confused.
Okay. See, what is mentioned here, which step in the log management process involves the generating an alert for
Mhm.
suspicious or unusual activity. So as a part of generation alert, we have seen the entire life cycle, 6 steps were there, correct? Collection of data, analyzing of a data, generating of alerts, and likewise. So basically, in the generating of alerts stage, you will see that based on the analysis, the alerts are generated for suspicious or unusual activities,
Right,
correct?
right. Got it.
Next
Thank you.
question, please. Next question on your screen.
Splunk is having a inbuilt A also.
Yeah, yeah. They have their AI module for the correlation, event correlation, or to identify the
Yes, yes.
zero-day vulnerabilities or attack. Okay, what about others, guys? What is the answer? What is the answer? All of you are saying option C. Yeah, correct. Great. Next question, please. Perfect. Great. Yeah, this is right. Perfect. Mohan, yeah, great. B is the correct answer. Next question, please. Very easy. We have just discussed about Shadow IT, correct? All the tools, applications, everything needs to be approved by the IT team before the implementation. Okay. So this is all about domain 4, guys. We are left with the domain 5. Okay. So that we will cover in our next session. Okay. When we will plan for next session, I will update you by tomorrow EOD. Okay, in the group. Most probably, I will be conducting this on a Wednesday or Thursday after 8:30 only, like 8:30 to 10:30 kind of thing, so that it will not clash with your office timings. Okay, and recordings will also be uploaded in the shared drive. Okay,
So Sachin,
perfect. Yeah.
for domain 4, they have increased the number of questions, right? It was something 26. Something I saw somewhere they have increased the number of questions. So all these number of questions would be from these three domains or
Yeah,
just
so they
increase
have
the
increased the percentage. Earlier, domain 4 was consisting 23%. Okay, and
yeah.
now is it consists 26%. So they have added the importance of domain 4. Okay,
Right,
that
right.
now it is more important. It is just that. Okay.
So it is not necessarily that the number of questions is increased, not specifically focusing on these domains, what we have discussed. They will maybe asking some more questions from the existing course,
Yeah,
like for example.
they can ask anything, like not
Yes.
necessarily that they will ask you from the new topic. But since this is a change, like it will become more important as compared to the older syllabus, because
Old syllabus.
whenever somebody is doing a change, they will try to test your knowledge on that changes, correct? That are you aware about recent changes? So
Correct.
that factor makes this topics more important as compared to the previous one. Okay, so yeah, that is
Correct.
all. Otherwise, in CISA, questions can be asked from anything. Not necessary that they will ask a question directly from a review manual. Even if you read a review manual, in the first or second page, it is clearly written that this is just a reference book. Don't
Correct.
think
Yes.
that questions would be asked from the review manual. Question can be asked from anywhere, because they try to test your conceptual knowledge about information system auditing, and the review manual is just a reference book. Okay,
Correct. Thank you.
perfect. Any other query, doubts? Somebody is mentioned something in a chat. Weekend, Akshata, why I'm not doing on a weekend? Because few people have already planned their exams. Okay, so I just want to make sure that they complete all the changes. So that is the reason I was trying to do it before the weekend. And for the weekend, like I have also one more batch starting. Okay, from the next weekend. So yeah, that is the reason we are not doing on a weekend. Okay.
So after this session, there are only five, domain 5 is remaining, right?
Yeah, domain 5 is remaining. Maximum it will take 2 hours, or maybe
Right.
like whatever 2.5 hours, whatever time it will take. We'll just discuss it and we'll wrap up the
And you will advise us that when you are going
classes.
to conduct this session. Okay.
Yeah, so that I will update you tomorrow in the group itself. Most probably Wednesday, Thursday, or maybe Tuesday also. Okay, whatever
Like
date, the time I
days
will
you are saying.
update. Yeah, I will update you in
Okay.
the group.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Sachin.
Okay, perfect, guys. Any other query, any other doubt?